Hey guys, this is Joe Gordon, Three Rivers Catfish Club. I wanted to do a quick video just on a quick, easy, simple Snell I learned a few years ago, actually a long time ago, for circle hooks. How the circle hooks actually work and why it's best to Snell them instead of using other means to attach them to your line. This is some information I didn't know when I first started using them. So back in 2010, and it cost me a whole summer of frustration. So hopefully maybe there's somebody that's getting into this now, that's starting to use these for the first time. This will answer some questions and maybe help you out. So almost all my leaders I use mono or fluorocarbon. This happens to be some leftover 40-pound Berkeley Pro Spec. I really like this line. One of the things I do is I like to give myself a lot of line to work with. So I'll actually pull out almost 3 feet of line to start with. Now there are lots of ways to Snell a hook. I know like probably about 10 of myself. This is actually the one I'm most comfortable doing and the easiest one I know how to do, and it works really well. I've never had the line break at the Snell doing this method of snelling. So I'm going to do this real quick here. So when I do this, you always enter from the bottom onto the back or spine of that circle hook, and that's because you'll see later that that's going to make the circle hook actually work better. And I leave myself lots of extra tag line just because I'd rather have a little bit more than not enough. Now with my other hand, I actually pinch it so that this is free over here, and this first loop actually goes around this upper finger because I want that loop to be open. And then from there I just wrap from the top down to the bottom, and I usually do 7 to 8. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as you can see, once I'm at 7, I've lost a lot of real estate here. I don't have much left. So what's left to do is I loosen that loop up a little bit so now it's open and free. And you take the end of the tag line and you go through here. Now here's the trick, okay? Now I actually hold this tag line with my teeth, and I pull the main line tight first so that it's cinched down, and then I let go and pull it down. And as you can see, it makes a nice neat Snell right there, and it's really strong. Take my scissors, and I always leave a little bit on here, probably about 1/4 of an inch tag line on here, just because as you pull really hard in this, it is going to move a little bit, and I would hate for this tag line to come undone. So I always leave a little bit there. It doesn't hurt anything. Alright, so for my leaders, I usually like it to be around 18 to 20 inches. Remember, you always leave extra because I use lots of extra when I'm tying my knots. So I cut that. Lately I've been using a lot of the rattles. You can get them in various places. It's really hard to tell someone like for sure that they work because you got to have some kind of evidence of that. What I can say is they sure don't hurt, and I feel like they work. So sometimes it's just the confidence you get when you're using a piece of equipment that helps you be better at using it, if that makes any sense. Now for the knot, I'm just going to go to a regular barrel swivel, and this is a pretty useful setup here because I can attach it in a lot of different ways. I also like to do a lot of 3-way swivels. Maybe that'll be another video on that. And this is how I do my Palomars. Just double through, do a nice overhand loop, and I tighten it down a little bit. That helps me, especially at night. I can do this in the dark with my eyes closed. Take the swivel through that big loop there. That's why I leave extra line. And then I like to do this with my teeth as well. Probably shouldn't, but I always pull that tag line first and then the main line. And it helps with the heavier line for that Palomar to be nice and neat. And like I said, I'll do the same thing here. I'll trim a little bit, but leave a little bit. I don't cut it too short, but just a little bit. So there you go. This is essentially what I like to tie up a lot, especially getting ready for the season and I can't get the boat out. Now, I'm going to explain why it's like this. As you can see, this thing, when you pull that that hook is always pushing down towards the hook point here, and that's because of the way the line is going through that. And the Diachi that I like I like have a straight shank, and that allows more of the line to do its work. When it's upturned like that, the line goes straight through and it pulls straight through on the hook. I believe that this helps having a straight shank and straight eye like that helps the hook to rotate more. These are Diachi D82, I believe, 7/0 wide. So slightly offset. Imagine my hand, let me see if I can get it line, is a fish's mouth, right? And the hook and the bait are in there, it's engulfed. Now as that starts to come and you let that fish swim away with that, as it tightens up, you can see it catches on the corner. If it's facing this way, it'll catch on that corner. And that's how a circle hook works. If you pull that out real fast, like you're setting a J hook, it'll pop straight out of the mouth because the hook point is directly down at the shaft. But that's exactly how the circle hook works, is you have to let that slowly rotate in and get hooked on to a piece of the fish's mouth, usually in the corners. And that's what helps the fish more safely get hooked in the corner mouth rather than hooking it deep in the throat or letting it swallow altogether. So one of the easiest ways to use these circle hooks is to obviously lock the rod down, let the fish run until it loads that rod up. And usually by the time that rod is loaded up, that hook is where it's supposed to be. At that point, it varies depending on who you are and how you like to do it. Some people will reel down and put more pressure on, pick it up, and then do a nice slow sweeping, very slow sweeping hook set, which helps to drive that home. You do it that way. I've seen other people wait till that rod tip is almost in the water before they even touch it. That's a personal preference thing, but what isn't is you can't usually set these like a J hook. You have to be a little bit more patient and let the fish do some of the work. And it does create a problem sometimes when they're coming in charging you if you're fishing from shore on the boat. In that case, you have to basically reel up till you feel a little pressure into a nice wide sweeping slow hook set to drive it to the corner and get your hook set. But that's how it works. That's essentially how it's working. You can see right there, it just does it. And by having this snelled, it allows it to almost every time it's going to rotate in and get hooked where it's supposed to. If you were to connect this via just a snap or other kinds of knot to just attach here to the end of the eye, you're just pulling haphazardly and you don't know what angle that the hook could be sitting at. This angle inside the mouth, they can be sitting at a weird angle in the mouth and pull straight out, and you're going to lose fish that way. So this is really the best way to hook and use these circle hooks, is snelling and going from the bottom to the back before you snell. If you go the other way, it's going to rotate backwards like this, away from the mouth, and you're actually going to pull out and it's not going to get rotated in. As you can imagine, that here it rotates backwards. You don't want that. You want it rotating down and forward. So that's all I got. Hopefully this might help some people out, that are looking to start using circle hooks this year, or maybe new to catfishing in general. I'll do some more videos on proper way to use the hook baits and stuff, or not proper way, but how I like to do things, because there's no right or wrong way to do things. It's just what I know works and what me and other people will share. So have fun and tight lines, people.